How do you feel? I'll let Wolf go, and you speak from like the woman's standpoint. But speaking of the chapters and the milestones you went through as a parent, the idea of like as you change as a parent, as they change as a kid, how's that relationship dynamic?
Listen, I'm gonna tell y'all straight like
from parent to sponsor.
Yeah,
a lot of stuff.
I hate when he go all the way down the path. At parent was perfect. No, I'm fucking with you. No, but
episode 32.
All jokes aside, though, no, like one of the things that I've come to realize was my daughter's now 16, right? So it's easy for her to develop her own independence, have her own friend group, want to have her own life, and as a man, it relieves me of a lot of day-to-day responsibilities that I used to have as she was growing up. Now, I'm not talking about day-to-day in the career responsibilities because it ain't like we lived in the same household because I've been co-parenting since the day she was born, but the day-to-day responsibilities of just, her leaning on me for these things. So I had to really realize, I had to say, like, I don't want my relationship to my daughter to become a sponsor. And what I mean by that is just like, it comes to where, though, you just think about me when it's time to call and ask me for something, and I'm okay with that because you don't call me, you must not need me. You need me, all right, I'm there for you. I want to continuously have a bond. And I think for dads, let me get the close up. I think for dads, just understanding that, like, as a father, be intentional as your daughter or son start to age to not phase yourself. They don't mean force yourself on them because sometimes they want that. Depending on what type of parent you are, if you already was overbearing, then they're going to rebel. They're going to want to be away from you. But if you never was overbearing to begin with and you kind of always had that relationship that was solid, make sure it maintains its solidness through these transitions by you being intentional about keeping that bond. So I've been having a conversation with my daughter. I don't want to just be your sponsor. I don't want it to be where it's like, oh, my dad gonna pay for this, so I'm gonna call him. I want you to actually check on me. I want to check on you. I want to know you. I want you to know me. And we got to be intentional as they age because we grown. How many times do we really? I talk to my mom a lot, but how many adults can actually say that me and my mom really get to know each other? We talk like on the phone for hours, but I can't say that that's common amongst parent and child. Most people don't call their parents unless something's wrong, and most parents don't call their child unless they need something. At this big adult, I need my son to go do this. I need my daughter to do that. But I don't want to grow into that. I want it to be where it's like, I'm not just sponsoring your lifestyle. I want to still be, your dad. I want to set up a relationship.
So, as you've gotten more money as your kids, you've had more kids, do you feel you had that type of experience or thought process, or you think you can see in the
like where you might be losing
with this 5-year-old once he gets to 16? Mom, I need this. Send me the cash app, mom.
I have one of my sons is like that, but I have told them you have to work for it. I don't just give. I never really gave. There's
down south, yeah.
Especially not boys.
No, I had to. When my parents made me, as soon as I got a job, I had to save up my money, buy my own car, and that made me responsible. I want my children to be the same way. I don't give them anything. Like some parents say, "Oh, if you good grades, I'm gonna give you." I don't give a damn about grades. If you are not morally in line or you're disrespectful to grown-ups, your grades mean nothing to me because there's so much more to life to learn other than what a school's going to teach you anyway.
100%.
So they have to. I don't just besides the 5-year-old I'm working on that. He has to learn, but he has chores. He folds his
crying at his fucking kindergarten graduation is out of pocket.
I kid you. He's 5 years old. He has to take the trash out with his brother. He folds his clothes and puts them in his drawer. I'm not raising. I want grown men.
Yeah.
I don't want a man who needs to be also sponsored because in Florida, a lot of the men just live off of women.
Oh.
And here the dynamic
which zip code is this?
Different.
Cuban trying to get a contract. He out there trying to get his shit off.
You need to learn to, clean and not be dependent on anybody.
Especially as a man, for sure. Because the world ain't going to give him nothing. So it's like, I'm all for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, of course, like you want to teach, women how to be self-sufficient. But men, you got to be intentional about letting them know, like, bro, you're going to have to work for some shit because the world ain't as giving for you. And that's not an issue. It's just the reality of it. And what tends to happen is a lot of single moms, unfortunately, create a soft life for their sons because they don't want them to have to overwork. They think that they're doing a good job by taking burdens off their plate. But men only learn from pressure and consequences. And we feel accomplished when we overcome things that seem to be challenging to us because we realize that we're capable of doing it. But if every time we show an ounce of struggle, our mom lift the weight for us, you create a man that's dependent on a woman. Then when he get with a woman and he want to meet her halfway or perfectly fine with her going the full way and she can't understand where it started because in his developmental years, he was never in a predicament that, like, you got to think a lot of our community is women. Grandma, auntie, mama, and then it's like the male figure that might have been there might have didn't have it, or they was raised on grandma, auntie, mother. So systematically at that point, he's conditioned to be okay with seeing women work harder than him to get him what he needs succeed versus him overcoming the little bit of challenge that he found himself faced with. And then they wonder when a man like, why the man don't take accountability? Well, every time this little nigga was wrong, his mom said, don't tell none of my son. You can't do this. You can't say that. The coaches can't say nothing to him. The cousins or the uncles or the dad can't. Some dads can't say nothing to their kid without mom trying to overpower and overthrow their authority. And then when a man get older, what he gonna do? He gonna stand behind mama, or he gonna try to find a woman that's going to show up for him like his mom showed up for him. And that's why a lot of men are underdeveloped, unfortunately. And it literally is not. This ain't highlighting this. Don't put the blame on women. It's literally the result of it.
But it's not aware. So I caught myself doing that as I began to read and learn. My boys, I was calling my boys, and I was making my daughters be crazy independent because I separated from their father for a little while. So I'm like, be hard, don't need no man. And I'm over here coddling my sons. And I'm thinking, now I'm looking at adults as I'm growing to learn people. And I'm like, okay, these men are soft and this is why. So I had to teach my daughter to soften up a little bit. You get way more when you stay in your feminine energy, be kind, be soft spoken.
Yeah.
And your sons need to learn to grow. But I was watching me create the problem. I don't dislike, I respect hyper independent women. That's not how I want to live my life. I don't like that. But I don't want my daughters to be so independent that they can't have a real shot at marriage or a good love life because they're so hard.
Yeah,
or my boys are too soft.
Yeah, and